What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. On today's video we have my third place regional Despia deck profile. So let's get right into it. I'll show you the cards, I'll tell you my train of thought, and I'll see what I can explain to you about my conclusions about this deck after playing the regional, finishing third place. Okay, so let's get right into it. Okay, so now that we are into it, so let's go run through the monsters first. I am playing triple Aluber. It's the main searcher of the deck. It searches any branded spell or trap. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm playing 3 Albaz because Albaz this format is a pretty insane normal draw. I will explain more as I get through them. I'm also playing 3 Despian Tragedy. This searches any Despia card, any Despia monster, sorry. And I'm also playing 3 Edgem Chain. This is for my Edgem package. I'm playing 2 Tribrigade Mercurier, 1 Ad Libitum, 1 Albion, main deck Albion, 1 Kit, and 1 Fairy Tale Snow. So here is my monster lab. No hand traps because I wanted to play this deck sort of like a deck that goes like full gas, never runs out of resources. Even if you top deck, you want to top deck some more resources so you can keep fusioning, because fusioning is a very expensive mechanic. It still costs you 2 monsters from the hand if you're fusioning from the hand, and the only way to fusion from the deck right now is branded fusion. So I wanted to see as much gas as I could possibly get from this deck. So this is what I was running as my main deck lineup. So for my spells, I ran 3 branded opening. This gets any monster out of the deck. Usually want to activate it in the draw phase so you can escape Veiler. And dumping like a Despian Tragedy so you can chainlock Aliber is fantastic. 3 Super Poly. Now, I was going into this format thinking, yeah, people are going to try and play a lot of Despia, which was weird because I only literally saw one, which was in the last round, which I lost. But it still came up clutch because people just keep running dark and light monsters and extra deck monsters, so it still comes up. Even if you set an Albaz, you can super poly your board away, your opponent's board, and it still comes up and it works. I'm also playing triple Patchwork for the Patchwork engine, triple Allure. I want to dig through my deck, see what I can get as much gas as possible, even if it means dumping a potential resources like say an ad libitum or something that doesn't activate an effect when you're playing when you're dumping it out of Allure like Mercurier or Despian Tragedy, which do come up. 3 branded fusion. This is the bread and butter of the deck. The main Ash. Get this is the card that gets Ash out of your opponent's hand because they literally will always save it for this. I'm playing 2 poly to go with my Freight for Patchwork, 2 droplets, 2 branded in red, 1 Gold Sark, 1 branded Lost, 1 Call By, 1 Field Spell, 1 branded Sword, and I actually managed to get this right before the tournament, 1 brand Banishment. That is how my main deck is looking. So I want to go through some of the cards about the main deck, some of the things that I learned going through the tournament, and then I'll go into the extra deck that I played. Some people are playing Fairy Tale Snow, and some people are playing Incredible Ecclesia because it can get Albaz out of the deck, so you can super poly your opponent's field away. I still find that the interaction to Book of Moon your opponent's cards in like the Sword Soul matchup, it does come up, and it is really, really good. Because in the Sword Soul matchup, there's not a ton of super poly targets you can use, especially if you have a Mirror Jade on board. Some people forget that Mirror Jade, you can only control one of them. And using that and get like say an Alba so you can super poly your opponent's card away, you need to be able to have a specific target, say like a Chi-Shell, so you can get into an Albion. So this does come up, and I like it more than Incredible Ecclesia. Also I'm poor, and I don't want to play for Incredible Ecclesia. Something about Spriggan's Kit. It is an extender. It is an extender. You can search from Branded Lost, and if you have Branded Lost and you search with it, which means you are meeting the conditions to special summon it. So say if you have a dead card in hand, you can special summon it, search for any good extender like a Brander in red or anything you want, so you can continue to play the game and continue extending things. Albion is, well, who doesn't like Upstart Goblin in the deck? So I was playing only Adlib. People also play Dramaturge. In my testing, I found that Dramaturge is a little bit cloggy, especially if I'm not getting out of the deck with a branded opening, because I usually would rather fuse from the hand with this so I can get another body on the board, and that's why I found that it came up. So people are playing either one or three. I decided to play two, and although it did come up yesterday, I did find that perhaps cutting it to one is the best choice. I am playing 45 cards in the main deck, and I need to find a way to play 40, or at the very least 41. I have Nationals coming up in 2 weeks, so this was pretty much my last big chance to test the deck. What else? What about the deck? So a lot of people are also cutting maybe Tragedy to two. Now I play Allure, so that's why I wanted to play three of them. That's why I also wanted to play two more Couriers, so I could actually get more targets from the Allure and get more searches, because you draw two, and if you dump either this or more Courier, you get in a search out of the deck, and that means it's a plus two cards in the hand instead of just a plus one, and it comes up. It really does come up. So well, I wanted to touch upon this card just for a little bit. This card lost me the tournament. Hilariously, this card is the one card I didn't play a mirror in the Despia matchup the entire tournament until the last match, and I was playing fine. We were playing fine. I was kind of in a brick position, but I was doing well, and then he just flipped Branded Banishment, used the Yellow Bird. I actually activated Poly, and he chained Branded Banishment, and I was fine, finding myself out looking at my hand, no targets, so I can resolve Poly, and he got rid of my Albert, and Albert Poly fizzled, and pretty much lost the game after that. So, here's what I think about Branded Sword. It's good, but when you break on it, it hurts so much that you don't have another card in hand. It is good if you're playing, like, if you want to see the Mercurial in hand back, or you want to see the Albas back in hand, but I am not 100% sure I want to keep this card in my deck. I will play test with more with it, and I will see about it. I did play the field spell. As the field spell itself, like the effect where you can revive a fusion monster if a non-fusion fairy leaves the field, that literally never came up because I didn't really search for it, and I didn't really hard draw it. You play only one of those. I didn't play crossout, so called by was really good. I wanted to touch upon this card. This card is, in my opinion, one of the very best cards in the deck. Not only that, if your opponent doesn't have an Ash, it basically lets you to gets to Mirror Jade unpunished and activate Mirror Jade's effect unpunished, because you cannot actually respond to anything after the Branded Fusion resolves. You also get a search out of it, which could be the Albion, which could be a Mercurial, which could be a Fallen of Albas itself. It's just an insane card. I wish there was a way that I could play more of these, but I feel that if you played more than one, it is going to break your hand, and you don't want to see that. So here's the card that if I were to cut Branded Sword, I would also cut this with, because this card is dump Mercurial, Mercurial search Albion, Albion dumps Branded Sword, and then you get Mercurial back to hand. So you get a Mercurial back in hand and a draw just from this card. But I'm not sure in a 45 card deck is this exactly what I want to see. People also will never try and negate something like that with their Omni Negate or something. What about Branded in Red? Branded in Red is insane. So why did I play two droplets in the main deck? Here's my train of thought. This deck excels at going second. It really, really does. So even if I have to dump like sort of something from my hand, I can also actually chain it to anything I activate, like a Branded Opening or anything, and use it as the same material, even though I am dumping cards from my hand. It really does come up, and it helps the deck go in second, break boards, and it really is really good. Allures. So some people are cutting it, some people are playing it. I just like to dig into my deck and find as much gas as I possibly can. The Patchwork Engine. Okay, so anyone who knows me knows that I am I would call it an aficionado, but Fluffle is my favorite deck, so the chance to play Fluffle cards is fantastic, and well, this is a pre-prep for Fusion. What else can I say? Although, in an ideal world, I think I would cut this to 2 and still play the 3 chain. Just because sometimes I bricked on like a couple of these in my hand, and I was like looking at my hand, and it's like, okay, so what do I do? What do I do? And last card that I wanted to touch upon from my main deck is Super Poly. Super Poly is insane. I apologize for my amateur filming skills. Sorry for the small cuts. I was talking about Super Poly. Super Poly is insane in this format. It's board breaking if you have any Fallen of Albas or Despia monster, which you usually will have. And if your opponent has a Dark monster and you have like an Edgem chain, it really does come up if you play the target. Because I didn't, and I'm kind of eating myself over that. So I'll go through my extra deck right now and you will see why I said I'm eating myself over that. First of all, I played 3 Albion. So, I didn't have access to Alba Renatus to play, and I did play a Dragon Link, but I did beat him, so that's okay on that front. So here's my reasoning for playing 3 free Albion. This card searches any branded spell or trap, which is basically what Alba does on the case of the fusion, because Alba only will search in this build. Alba will only search fusion, branded fusion. If I were to play Fusion Destiny in this deck, I would play one, and maybe considering internationals, I will switch one of these for the Alba. I have one right now on me, but this on the tournament came up so many times, like doing Mirror Jade, dumping this card, and the next turn maybe like doing a Lobelian, shuffling it, and just like cycling through it. I did have a game where I think I like turn 3, I dumped all 3 of these into the grave, and I had to use Lobelian to get them back. But this is probably the most important fusion in the extra deck in my opinion, because it just gets your engine going when you don't have an engine. I played double Lobelian, and to go with it, double Mirror Jade. So Lobelian is good, but it goes along with a lot of cards in the deck and the extra deck that just dump cards off of your hand. So that's the reason why I was playing Allure. I was playing like so much trying to draw power, trying to fill my hands with cards, because I know I will dump them with either an effect or a fusion effect, so I need to have as much possible. Mirror Jade is just, well, it's the boss monster of the deck. It vanishes without targeting. Like, if this card were to do that every single turn, that would be the most insane thing ever. But it really does come up because it is a soft once per turn, so even if it leaves the field and you bring it back, you can have the effect live again, which is pretty good. So for a little bit of an extra, like 15 cards of extra fusions, I didn't play any single link. So here's one. Here's my Despia targets. I played double Masquerade, 1 Quarteris, and 1 Proskinian. Masquerade was good. I think I stole one of the matches I played with it, because my opponent burned himself for like 1200 and I was already leading life points, and when he went to attack me, he didn't have enough to just close the gap, so I stole a match with this. Didn't make this. I think I made this once in the entire tournament, and it was really subpar. This would be the card that if I were to cut a card from the extra deck to play something like a Starving Venom or maybe a second Dragostapelia, it would be this one. It was really subpar. This came up against Sword Soul and it was fantastic. I played 1 Brigand. I forgot about this one when I was ordering the deck. This was the other target that I threw with Albion, with Mirror Jade. Actually, in my playtesting, this never came up. I think I never dumped this, and in the tournament I dumped it once and resolved it to search for Mercurier, and Mercurier didn't come up after that. So another potential cut card that you could maybe change, say for like a Titanic Lad or maybe another Super Poly target. This is just not that great, especially if you're only playing 1 Mercurier, which you could search with Banded Lost. Just saying. So I played double Guardian Chimera. Both of them really did come up. Every 2 or 3 games, both of them came up and just were putting God's work in, because Branded Lost is, along with this card, is insane. And for the Super Poly target, Dragostapelia, I mean, what else can I say? This is a negate for a monster. It's fantastic. It's a Super Poly target. It's what I need. So 15 purple cards in the extra deck. So here is my non-orthodox side deck. So I played 2 Token Collector for the Sword Soul matchup. 2-dimensional barrier. Now, some people are asking me, am I insane why I'm only playing two? So, the reason why I'm playing 2D barriers is because I'm playing the Artifact Scythe package. I'm playing 3 Sanctum, 1 Scythe. So, here's my reasoning for this. This deck excels going second. This deck excels with breaking boards, with stuff like Super Poly. But this deck is a little bit weak against Link decks, say like Salamangreat or Tri Brigade. Like Tri Brigade can set up a board which is like an Appaloosa for 3 negates, a what's the link that bounces the the double Dragon Lords, and a set Revolt. That is enough to break any possible 6 card hand in the Despia matchup in just most 10 times out of 10. So say I lose a die roll, I go on game 1 and I lose because my opponent just gets to freely do his combo. I am not playing any hand traps. Game 2, I want to side this in. I want to see this because it just goes on and stops any Link matchup that I have a chance to like have some trouble with. Going forward, I think I would change it because on the tournament, like the theory was good, but in practice, it just really didn't come up in the tournament. I did play one Raid Reboot and triple Twin Twisters because, well, I hate back row and you go up with that. And I also played one Banshee and double Zombie World to go along with it. Would I play this again? Don't really think so. I would think I would cut one Zombie World and keep it like this because I don't think I said it as even once in the tournament. I saw a lot of Eldritch. I saw basically stuff that like this is just not enough to stop like Sword Soul or the Despia matchup. It doesn't really come up. There's no need for it. So the third card, so I would have a lot of space in the extra deck to play around for my nationals. So I thank you very much for watching and suffering me for about 20 minutes, rambling about the deck that everyone knows and everyone likes and like or fears. But I do thank you very much for watching my video. This was my third place regional deck profile for my last regional before my nationals in 2 weeks in Israel. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.